Clips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe and hit the bell. Everything will be well in 1995. Plus, shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Why does a dog wag its tail? Because a dog is smarter than its tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Wag the dog in politics is the act of creating diversion from a damaging issue. Here at Wag the Dog News, the tail doesn't wag the dog. Enjoy.
Clips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the bell. Everything will be well. 1995. Plus, shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Alrighty, bib jibs. A mic a chick, a mic a chick, a mic a chick. Another one of Kip Clips. Hopefully, these are all good. So my computer's repaired, so I'm going to start doing a wee bit of Wag the Dog news again. See what the hell's going on in the world. Blink, and you might have missed it, but I would say as a consequence of Brexit, you've now witnessed the rise of two brand spanking new, fresh out the wrapper, right wing.
We're only truth tellers. We're telling the truth. We're fair and unbiased. We're fair and unbiased.
Right wing. If you haven't got blinkers on, right wing TV stations here in the UK. So we've had RT erased from the council television broadcasts. And we've had Great Britain News, I think it's called. Nigel Farage TV, as I like to call it. But of course, we're just fair and unbiased, and we're freedom of speech and open debate, and we look at it from all sides. Bullshit. It's a pro-EU Nigel Farage cocksucking TV station. Fact. Right, and I've got no problem with that. I hate the facade that they put up, man, and it is a facade of we're news. We are news. They're as biased as the BBC. But I would argue that TV station has been allowed, facilitated, the public appetite has been there for it because of the consequence of Brexit and all the politicking in and around Brexit. Also, what we've witnessed is recently talk radio, which I've talked about in a sense quite a lot, because the sister station, it's Talk Sport and Talk Radio. A lot of the people in Talk Radio used to be on Talk Sport, like in a night time when they would talk about things other than sport, or so. But they definitely of a right wing persuasion. And if you listen to it, which I have, and you are objective, you can't come away with any other conclusion than it is a right wing outlet, and I have no problem with that. It's just the bullcrap facade I want to point out. There's Magic Man. Alright, Magic Magnets, how you doing? Hopefully you're keeping well, buddy. Right, let me see. So, there is the old Talk Radio, which has now morphed into Talk TV. It's alongside, up there with the Great Britain News. RT erased. talk radio in Great Britain news installed. So I thought we would give talk radio a wee switch, being it all new. I was going to do the BBC. Maybe we'll come back to that and do the headlines, but I thought talk radio.
Yeah. Fine, that I get that, but do not by social media. What is wrong with you?
Those are the latest news headlines. Still to come. Your
Oh,
talk
we missed that. That was a wee bit of juicy gossip, wasn't it? Somehow, some way.
Times Travel sponsors talk.
Oh, right. So, just to get a wee flavour. I've seen her before, by the way, doing the rounds. But it's all the same talking heads. I mean, like, if you go and look at that Great Britain news, man, it's like a Z list of This Morning presenters. It really is.
And there's little
In fact, I'm saying if you look at Great Britain news, let's look at it.
There will be some breaks here and there, though. So
Is that Davina McCall?
I
don't think it
We're
is.
also going to continue with the showers. Now, the showers will be mostly across central northern parts of England and Wales and around central and southern parts of Scotland, but not exclusively across these areas.
I could listen to the
Far north of
weather
UK and the far south
all
will be
day.
somewhat dry, but there will still be the risk of the odd shower or two.
And remember, folks, if you do appreciate the Wag the Dog news, stick a wee thumbs up. It is much appreciated.
Tonight, some showers still carrying on for southern Scotland into northern England, otherwise mostly dry with clear skies.
See, we're Baltic as usual.
Tomorrow, sunshine and
We don't have
showers.
the same weather as the rest of the
And then
UK.
later in the day, more significant rainfall heading into northern
It's no
parts
fair.
of the UK. Still fairly mild across southern areas, though.
Times Travel sponsors Talk TV weather.
Doo-doo-doo. Oh, here's Talk Sport update. Oh, good. Football.
The final of the World Snooker Championship. Ronnie O'Sullivan takes a commanding
Need to be
12-5
careful.
lead over
Oh.
Judd Trump in today's action. The six-time world champion is 6 frames from a record-equaling 7th title.
Especially
If he
with the
wins,
full
he'll become the
football,
oldest
man.
world champion.
You'll
Andy
come
Murray has said
and
he doesn't support
copyright
Wimbledon's
your
decision to
ass
ban
like
Russian and
that.
Belarusian players from the tournament. Competitors from the two countries cannot play because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but the two-time winner said
Fucking
there's
ridiculous,
no
that
right
shit,
answer on
innit,
the
man?
issue. Mo Farah's refused to be drawn on his.
Can you imagine
decision to
if
return to road
sports
running
bodies
at the
started
vitality
punishing
event in 10K?
British and American
Runner Ellis Cross in his
stars
first race
because
since failing
of
to
Iraq?
qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. And England and Manchester City goalkeeper.
I'm pretty sure there's got to be some sort of a fucking legal case in there.
It brings an end to a 20-year career in which she gained 82 caps for her country.
And
For
see
her
this
club side,
putting
she's
women's
won
football
8
in the
WSL
same
titles, 3
pedestal
FA
as
Cups,
male
and 4
football.
league cups,
It's
but Wednesday's match against
redunculous,
Birmingham
man.
will be her last. That's all for now. I'll be back with more in half an hour.
I mean, like, check him out. Chinless Wonder.
On my fantasy talk show is still a fantasy.
Oh no, right, that tells you everything you need to know. Jeremy Vile is on this fucking station. I hate that guy with a passion. I mean, he's literally damaged society with his fucking stupid ass show. Him and Jerry Springer. Oh, it's this dude. Ian Collins. He used to be on Talk Sport.
To this man.
It shall be a government rooted in strong values, the values of justice and progress.
And again,
unity, the values that
right,
stand
nobody
for
likes
all
Tony
life.
Blair. Nobody can deny the guys. The guy should be in jail, man, for what he done.
To embrace new ideas necessary.
For the lives that he lied, the lives that were lost based on his lies.
20 years. He was the antidote to a rotten system, the reform.
And this is a trick of the media. They will jump on and appropriate, like, for the purposes of this example, we'll use the hatred of Tony Blair. And this right-wing outlet will use the hatred of Tony Blair to garnish support for their bullcrap.
Iranians and 1 Afghan, they tell me. the danger
Nudge.
of drowning, a risk they're prepared to take.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks since the government announced their Rwandan immigration policy. Some were sensing that it was already beginning to work. Those journeys across the channel appeared to have stopped. But yesterday, over 200 people were back in those boats making their way to the United Kingdom. Where does this leave the government's flagship crackdown on illegal immigration? We'll have more.
That was weird, wasn't it? It completely stopped, and then all of a sudden, a immigrant bukkake. It's almost as if like it was kind of propagated in response to the appearance that the policy was actually working.
Branded the request to go back to work as racist. Oh.
Now, regardless of my point of view, right? Because I do have a point of view.
But this time we're determined that things will be better. Anyone who wants to own his own home can expect help from a conservative government. And we know
can
what
best
that help will
guess
cost.
this outlet's particular point of view by the majority of its presenters on the Rwanda policy.
To buy their homes that they rent from housing associations. This is a major shake-up. It is, of course, inspired by Margaret Thatcher's right to buy revolution. We'll look at that a little later as well. Everything you need to know, all the breaking news right here on Talk TV, 0344 499 1000. So here's the thing. How do you rate Tony Blair? He was first elected Prime Minister May the 1st, 1997, and it was today, 25 years ago, that he made that journey to Buckingham Palace to ask the Queen to
I was going to ask why the hell are they bringing up Tony Blair, but
since 1970.
Question answered.
The Conservative years had taken their toll. If you remember, the fag end of John Major's administration was dogged by allegations of corruption and malfeasance. More than that, it just kind of looked very old and very tired, if you remember. Out of date and out of step with the day.
Spitting Image used to portray John Major as grey, remember that?
Spitting Image best caricatured this with the very, remember the very...
This guy's listening to me!
...of John Major eating peas every night in his Downing...
That's right.
The country needed its mojo back, and this was the man who was going to provide it for the next decade.
No more bosses versus workers. We are on the same side, the same team, and Britain United will win. Ask me my three main priorities for government. And I tell you, education, education, and education.
I remember watching that at the time and thinking, wow, this guy is serious. That was from his party conference in 1996. 6 months later, he was the Prime Minister. The Labour Party...
he did. He bewitched the whole nation, man. Me included, and I was just a young guy, kind of ball hair interested in politics and stuff, you know, watching a wee bit of news when other people my age weren't.
Labour had a formidable 419 seats, the largest the party had ever taken. The Tories, 165. It was their worst performance since 1906. And at 43, Tony Blair became the youngest British Prime Minister of the 20th century. He had a majority. We all think of Boris, he got 80. He had a majority of one.
Would you want a tour of Magic Magnets? I just seen your comment.
170. You can do anything you like with that, right? So the Labour gained 145 seats at that election. The Tories lost 178. Tony Blair, of course, wasn't like any previous Labour leader. He wasn't a firebrand lefty. He had no ingrained relationship with the unions. He was privately educated with that, right? So the Labour gained 145 seats at that election. The Tories lost 178. Tony Blair, of course, wasn't like any previous Labour leader. He wasn't a firebrand lefty. He had no ingrained relationship with the unions. He was privately educated.
What's the point of bringing up Tony Blair here? Is it just to, like, fucking kumbaya, everybody get together in hatred of the prick?
The old Marxist faces on the left had no place in Blair's vision for a new Britain. Socialist Labour was dead.
I got told last night my hair looks like Hitler.
Unequivocal, of course, that also the days of politicians and cabinet
the Necropolis,
behaving
buddy.
badly and getting
Could do,
caught
mate.
with their hands in the till and their trousers down was over. New regime,
Next
new
time I'm in the
management,
town,
new
mate.
values, new
And
labour. Half
got
an
some
hour after
spare
he took
time.
office, Bernie
Opens
Ecclestone
up
gave him
the
a questionable
Necropolis and
million
do a
quid,
wee
and
stream.
one of his cabinet ministers had a moment of madness with a stranger on Clapham Common in a secret midnight rendezvous. That was Ron Davis, who he claimed he was out badger watching. That's up there with the tractor, right? What is there a big dictionary of these people?
Is this
if you're
live?
caught,
This is
say
the live
either
shit,
this,
right?
Tractors or badgers?
While he talks about that, let's have a wee shift at Nigel Farage TV.
You are a chef, you run a company, produce.
Oh, this is the money show.
Cooks. What do you think of the fact that the big food retailers, Stuart Rose, a major figure, the guy runs Asda, he used to run Argos, used to run M&S. He is now warning of what's happening. He said that his supermarket, very much a discount supermarket, is dropping and locking the price of those necessities. But in fairness to him, it takes something, doesn't it, for a retailer to put their head above the parapet and say food prices are going up and they're staying up.
Must have been getting too much stick.
Yeah, it is. It's a very difficult situation for all of us.
Well, hold
I've
on.
noticed over the last
By the
week or so, or the last
of
month, particularly, I was just saying, the cost
technology.
of chicken. We do quite a few chicken dishes here, and just recently gone up hugely.
You're just talking about
we
how shite the
work. Well, I
economy is, I
work
suppose.
6-7 days a week now, and I'm looking.
We see if we can
Just need to
find
clear stuff
top
out of the
our
house to
news.
give me breathing space. Let me think what I'm going to do. Talk about them after this.
Oh.
Are too high for them to pick anybody up, and they literally follow.
Needs to be done about.
Was that Nigel Farage, man? I hate being right.
Yeah, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debate, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence.
From both sides of the fence, just Nigel Farage just sitting there and just telling you about
Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jukes and Co.
Oh man, it makes me laugh. Nigel Farage TV, bringing it to you from both sides of the fence, man. Why I pit?
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Co. Me and my panel will get stuck right into today's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you.
I can tell ya, I can warn ya. What a shite fucking, what would you call this, an advert?
Expect some robust debate, some strong opinions and
some
perspectives
robust
from both sides of the fence.
Both sides of the fence, man. Why I pit?
All of your comments
bullshit.
as I can.
Both sides of the
So,
fence,
join me,
and
Michelle
the
Dewberry,
fence
Monday to
has
Friday,
Nigel
6 till 7
Farage
on
standing
Jukes
there
and Co.
fucking dictating what people can
On
and
radio,
cannot
they
say.
call it the drive time slot, 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify. And
See,
we
I
try to
find
make
this
sense
more
of it for
interesting
you.
than the actual
Frasier
news
is
that's
drive
going
time
on.
for radio and
The
TV.
regurgitation of
It's
shit
fast,
for
it's
Ukraine.
punchy, it's opinionated, there's a brazier
But
angle and a little bit of
who would have
levity.
thought that? All we needed is a good war
That's Brazier,
to get
Monday
rid
to Thursday,
of
4 till 6
COVID.
on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories
All
of the
right,
day
buddy, I
to
didn't
law and
know you
order,
were
what's going on in the channel.
fucking
We're not
bastard.
afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until
Send us
midday,
an
Monday
email,
to
mate.
Thursday for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the
see what I'm doing,
feistiest
'cause
and
I'm
most fun
kinda
news debates on
busy
TV,
this
where
week,
free
believe it or
speech
not.
reigns. I'll bring you
I
a
need to
sharp take
speak
on the
to
day's
somebody
biggest
and see
stories,
what's
bombshell
happening and stuff,
newsmaker
so
interviews,
send
and
us an
A-list
email, mate.
guests.
An email.
And I guarantee you, no
Details on
spin,
what
no
we're doing.
bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Senior MPs call for a major overhaul of Westminster's working practices.
Hello there, very good morning to you. It's just after 9 o'clock. It is Monday, the 2nd of May. It's a May bank
Eamon
holiday.
Holmes, no way, man. They managed to get Eamon Holmes.
I hope you've been watching this morning or listening to us. Eamon Holmes.
I like old Eamon.
Happy Eid to you as well if you are celebrating a little bit later on today. Here's what's leading the news this morning.
Radical action needed to review working practices in Westminster. A House of Commons Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, has spoken out after concerns about sexism and inappropriate behaviour by politicians.
And after an 11-day pause, more than 200 migrants crossed the Channel yesterday, and with weather conditions improving, more are expected today. GB News presenter Nigel Farage is there for us this morning.
Today marks the 40th anniversary of the sinking of the Argentinian warship, the General Belgrano, which was seen as an escalation of hostilities during the Falklands War. It was destroyed by the British submarine HMS Conqueror with the loss of 323 lives. Our Homeland Security editor Mark White will be back talking about this.
And it's a happy birthday to Princess Charlotte today, who turned 7. New photos have been released.
But I'm pretty sure quite recently they've started drilling for oil, or was there some sort of a valuable resource? I can't remember exactly what.
What do you think of Charlotte's pick? Have you got one to beat that?
In and around the territorial waters of the Falkland Islands, which makes the war make a lot more sense. It wasn't done on principle, it was
Senior
done
MPs
thinking
and House
of the
of Commons
back
Speaker
pocket.
Sir Lindsay Hoyle have called for major changes to Parliament's working practices following more allegations of misconduct.
Well, on Saturday, the Conservative MP Neil Parish resigned after admitting he had watched pornography twice in Parliament. Last week, our political editor Darren McCaffrey
Did you hear what he was
actually
searching
spoke
for?
to Mr Parish
The
before it was revealed
dominance
that he
class or
was
something?
the MP at the centre of all of this.
And just very finally, Neil, while we've got you on these reports, and we know your chief whip is looking into them from a female minister about another Conservative frontbencher watching pornography on his phone. What's your reaction to that? I mean, it's pretty jaw-dropping, the suggestion that it's happened. I mean, frankly, whoever it is, I mean, surely they would have to have the whip removed, wouldn't they?
I mean, I think the Whip's office will do a thorough investigation, and we will wait and see that result. And I think,
below
from
the
that,
clip,
then the decision will have to be made what action to be taken.
Is there a problem with the culture in
Down below
Parliament,
the
do you
clip.
reckon? I mean, it's not just Conservative MPs, we should say, this is a cross-party issue, but there is a sense, I think, for people outside looking in, that there are just a whole range of stories, even this
Skype.
year, involving different MPs, that gives a sense that there's a cultural problem inside Parliament.
I think if you've got sort of 650 members of Parliament in what is, a very sort of very intense area, I mean, you are going to get people that step over the line. I mean, is it, I don't think there's necessarily a huge culture here, but I think it does have to be dealt with seriously. And I think, that's what the whips will do in our whip's office.
Well, meanwhile, a number of MPs have had allegations of
funny,
sexual
innit?
misconduct against them, referred to the independent.
And he knew that
complaints
he
and
was the one at the centre of the
The
allegations
former
at
leader
that
of the
point.
House,
He
Dame
must have
Andrea
thought that his
Leadsom,
name wasn't coming
says
out or
that
something.
scheme itself is not fit for purpose, and more women would be at risk in the House until changes were made.
Well, this comes after the Conservative Party
Women
inquiry
are
into
at
the
risk in
sexist
the
comments
House.
made by
Come
one
on,
of their
folk, get
MPs
things into
towards Angela Rayner,
perspective, man.
claimed that the Deputy Labour leader made the basic instinct comments herself.
It's politics.
In other
It's
news, this weekend saw
absolutely
over
ruthless.
200 migrants crossing
So
the Channel
the
following
Machiavellian
an 11-day
motherfuckers that rise to
hiatus
the top,
attributed to unfavourable
it doesn't
weather
matter what
conditions,
you've got
making
between your legs, they're
passages
ruthless,
off
they'll go
dinghies
after
far
you
too
and they'll use
dangerous.
anything
Well,
that
Nigel
they
Farage
think
is in the
will
English
fuck you
Channel
up
today
to
for
fuck
us,
you
and he
up.
brings us this report with his take on the situation.
11 days had passed without any boats crossing the English Channel.
God,
No dinghies
Nigel
whatsoever,
Vag.
which has led to a lot of commentary.
He's got
from
his
many
own
people
TV
saying,
fucking
Rwanda
station.
Works, they've stopped coming.
With
I think
Eamon
actually
Holmes
this is
on
sort
it.
of wishful thinking, because everybody wants an end to this crisis. It's wrong at every level. Tough words from Boris Johnson on this issue the other week.
All right, Jeffrey,
But
how you doing,
the
my
truth
man?
is, the reason boats haven't come for the last 11 days is there's been a persistent northeasterly wind, averaging about 20 miles an hour, leading to very, very short choppy seas, difficult, unpleasant for any boat, let alone an inflatable dinghy. That's why they didn't come.
I stick the thumbs
Yesterday
up.
was the first calm
Everybody,
day.
caress that like
We haven't got the
button,
official
Jeffrey.
figures, and that's because it's a bank holiday weekend, but we're told over 200 came yesterday. My intel says 260 or 270 on 6 or 7 boats. What is interesting to note, since I first started coming here a couple of years ago, in those days, the inflatable ribs would carry on average about 16, maybe 18 people. Now, they're purpose-built, once only, one journey only boats, averaging about 40 people. So far this morning, there have been several sightings, mostly to the west of where we are right now.
Nigel
We are literally right
Farage,
in between
guarding our
the
borders.
British and French waters, out in what's called the separation zones. And I'm sure within the next hour or two, we're going to start seeing more dinghies. It's going to be flat calm all week. Remember, before that 11 days when nobody came, the numbers that were running at 4 times the number that came last year. It is not an exaggeration to suggest that if we carry on as we are, it'll be 100,000 people that cross the English Channel this year, and 90,000 of them will be young men without any documents whatsoever. So look, I want Rwanda to work, but is it going to work? It already faces its first legal challenge. My suspicion is, all the while we're part of the Human Rights
this
Act,
guy's
all the while
his
we
own
have
radio,
the European Convention on Human Rights,
his own TV
into British
station,
law, it's going to be very, very difficult.
and he's
to send people
patrolling
to
our
Rwanda.
borders. This is
Goodness me,
fucking hilarious.
It's even hard
But
to
remember,
deport known
folks,
torturers and terrorists.
this
So we're here. It's active.
you'll get
the Royal
fair,
Navy now
balanced
are in the channel. This is one of the
views
big
from both
announcements made
directions,
by
man.
Boris
Why
Johnson
I
the other
picked?
week.
Why I?
From what I can see,
Fucking
they're as good as
bullshit.
useless.
This is
The
views
sides of the
from
boats,
both
the gunnels
directions.
of the boats are too high.
I know
for
this
them to
isn't
pick
her show,
anybody up, and
right?
They literally
But
follow
that's the
border force,
that's the
an hour and a
shtick.
eye
That's the
around,
PR.
and then tow
That's with the spin.
empty
That's
dinghies
what the,
back
that's
into
the
Dover.
shite that they're
We've seen
saying.
drones this morning.
They suck
it is a
people in
full-scale
going,
military
"Ooh, I'm
operation
just
going on
listening to
in
a
the Channel
debate
every single
from all
day when
sides."
it's calm.
This
there is no
channel
end in sight,
isn't
but
a debate
if we
from
start
all
to see
sides.
plane loads of people going to Rwanda, that would act as a serious deterrent. After all, why
And
would you
they'll
pay
do
Africa 5,000
what they need to
euros
do
if you thought you'd
to
finish up
portray
in Rwanda?
themselves
So,
like that.
this is back on.
Maybe
I
I
would
should
predict this week be very surprising, if not more than 1,000. Yeah, I'd say more than 1,000 will come this week.
Well, listeners and viewers, Nigel Farage for us there.
All right, Roberto.
Those are his views. That's his experience of what is going on. What do you think? Do you agree with him? Do you not agree with him? Do you have your own solution to all of this? He says Rwanda is the
And remember,
solution,
folks,
Rwanda, and the threat of ending up in Rwanda as opposed to
as much
ending
as I
up
can,
in
Monday to
England.
Friday,
GB
1
News
o'clock,
at
I'll be doing
gbnews.uk or tweet at
Wee
GB
news
News.
blast.
Now it's time for that segment in the programme where we go on your doorstep.
Woo! It's your dad's doorstep
So we're out
challenge.
and about again. Well, we're not out and about again. Our reporter Bradley Harris is out and about in South Wales. We have seen him this morning in Porthcawl, and he's still there. A nice day to be at the seaside, Brad.
That channel must be paying
That's why a
handsomely.
fantastic day to be here in Porthcawl on Bank Holiday Monday. Just take a look at the view behind
Eamon
me. This
Holmes
is another iconic
was
view
borderline
of the
deadlift,
sea
wasn't he?
here in Porthcawl. Those waves crashing onto the sea defences there. Of course, only a few months ago, Storm Eunice battered this town with huge waves. But I've come here to the Piccolo Bar to find out how tourism is impacting businesses up and down this seaside town. A
looking for
population
how
of
they're-
15,000 people. Louisa, you're the owner of the Piccolo Bar. Good to have you on GB News.
might just be
Can I ask
fluff,
you, tourism
fella.
plays a huge part in places like Porthcawl, doesn't it, and your business?
It does. It's absolutely massive for us. I mean, it's what keeps us going throughout the whole of the year, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for the
Blair had that Brown didn't have, and Keir Starmer
It's
probably
gone.
doesn't either. The question is whether you can still get your party over the edge, because Starmer is doing that.
He needs to turn down his exposure a wee bit. I was having that problem, you see.
His successor John Smith did.
Because
can you do it without that?
modern day cameras are so good, like even in a dull day in Scotland, you get overexposure if you don't turn it down.
And in terms of Blair
Let him.
balancing New Labour,
Your face looks like Casper, white,
the sort of
just
accusations of being
bleeds out.
Tory light, because that was a not an unreasonable thing to throw at him. Look, he changed his party. He divorced
Are you still going on about Tony Blair?
fundamentals of his relationship with the unions. He kind
I
of
suppose this isn't the news in the sense that it goes boom, 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 boom. All the stories of the day.
He was more to the right than Michael
It's more
Home Secretary. So it wasn't
shit.
even that it was Tory light, it was really rather Tory.
Yeah, and that was one of Blair's most brilliant speeches or catchphrases, was tough on crime.
Ukrainian friends that created the video for this song.
I wanted to touch a wee bit on the war that ended Corona.
To watch it. I'm asking you, please
Corona.
watch the video
Corona.
player.
And the money raised will be going to charities supporting Ukrainian children. You said about you feeling happy knowing that your family are safe out of Ukraine. Obviously, for those who have left Ukraine and there are loved ones behind, that gives them different types of stresses. What are your feelings about the future in terms of, you know, the support that and right now the support that people will need?
It's a lot of support they will be need during next years, I think. And it's horrible, it's terrible situation about what the kids, what the child feels during this war.
Who is this dude talking in the helmet and the flat jacket?
Every time when I'm feeling that somebody supports Ukrainian kids, not only by like humanitarian aid, but also like
let's see this shit. What the fuck is this push?
way, like to help to educate
Event organised
Ukrainian
tonight
kids,
requesting.
help them to grow up, to upgrade their skills. It's very important, and I want to say thank you for
Oh my fucking lord, even the fucking pop fucking dick Fraggle. The pop Fraggle, he does look like a Fraggle, doesn't he? He's fucking...
Because, you know, the war, during the war,
he's, what you call it, curly hair.
Have to stop. Because smart kids is our future.
And that was Ed Sheeran's two-step featuring Auntie Tila. And it's been...
Oh my god, the BBC's doing a fucking advert for it as well. Don't buy that song. Rip it off. Don't even fucking listen to it. Fucking virtue signalling fucking peasants, man. You can't even move without getting a wee bit of virtue fucking signalling for some god going, we are the best. We love Ukraine more than you love Ukraine. Look, I'm surprised. Watch this space actually. When are porn stars going to start sucking dick for Ukraine? I'm choking on this dick for Ukraine. That's what I want to see, some commitment. I want to see fucking the adult industry stepping up to the plate and fucking showing your virtue, how much you love Ukraine like the rest of us, and how much you want to put on your fucking tights and fucking go over there and save them. Like fucking Ed Sheeran. I'm going to save them one mix at a time.
Hello, this is BBC News. I'm Lukwesa Burak with your headlines. An operation is underway to rescue civilians from the besieged Ukrainian port of Mariupol after weeks of failed evacuations. A record number of people have been referred for cancer checks in England in the last year, following a dramatic decline during the pandemic. The Ministry of Defence says more than 250 migrants were brought to shore in Kent yesterday, following 11 days without any channel crossings.
Oh, I thought it was Nigel Farage's intelligence.
And pitch-side brain scans are to be trialled in an effort to help spot concussion and make sport safer.
Right. We're going to, what we need is non-contact boxing. I see the future. I'm going to go down to the bookies and ask if they'll take a bet on any time in my lifetime non-contact boxing existing. Cunts going in a ring with headsets on or something, or just like fucking shadow boxing. Oh my god, look at that! Fucking if he did, he would have knocked him the fuck out. But I don't. And I still need to work on some of the minor details, but it's the future, baby.
Well, now BBC News, it's the media show.
Put your legs up for Ukraine. Put your legs up. Put your legs up. Put your legs up and get dug up.
First comes from Elon Musk.
For Ukraine, there's a song there somewhere. Elon.
It's just really important that people have both the reality and the perception that they are able to speak freely within the bounds of the law.
Since Elon Musk said that, he's had a multi-billion-dollar offer for Twitter accepted. We'll unpack what that means. The next plan we're going to look at is one that's come to a shuddering halt. This was just a few weeks ago.
It's
CNN
Elon.
is an icon of the cable and satellite.
Oh my god, this guy cracks me fucking up.
It's the fucking gayest fucking. Hi there, everybody. Oh, I got to tell you the news today. Okay, let's listen to the news.
Streaming subscription service for TV news in the United States.
Did he say screaming subscription service? I mate, you could run a screaming subscription service, no problem at all. I agree.
States. So if you were creating a news product from scratch in 2022, how would you build it? That's one of the questions, one of the starting points for CNN Plus. It's the biggest bet any company has made in the news streaming world.
CNN spent millions of dollars on its new streaming service, CNN Plus, but within weeks, it had been canned. And as that was stopping, well, Rupert Murdoch was starting something. He's launched Talk TV in the UK with a familiar face.
Now, I don't know, regular viewers will know that I've talked about Talk Sport. I told you it was like basically the audio version of Sky Sports. Sky being directly, indirectly, kind of Rupert Murdoch. I've said it for years, and I've listened to Talk Sport kind of religiously for years. And now, just look at every good little mogwai that you feed after midnight. Boom! Two little fucking gremlins of the Murdoch persuasion.
At the centre of it.
Welcome to viewers around the world. I'm Piers Morgan and I'm uncensored. As Nelson Mandela might have said,
He's another twat, and he's just such a fucking pompous twat. I know that's how he makes his money, and he does that deliberately. But still.
it's been a long walk to freedom of speech, but now I'm back with a nightly forum for fabulous guests, fearless debate, and yes, some fun.
Talk TV, Twitter, CNN Plus. In a broad way, these are all parts of the same challenge as we try and work out how we're going to consume news and discuss the news in the future. Where will we be doing that? Which companies will we be paying for their services? Well, let's begin with Vivian Schiller, Executive Director at Aspen Digital.
Hold on. Then that symbol did. Musk was talking about that dude saying that he's going to integrate Twitter with something that I'm struggling. Neuralink. Neuralink Corporation is a neurotechnology company that develops implantable brain machine interfaces. Pioneer building in San Francisco. OpenAI. Well, no doubt there is some fucking other like, kind of reason for it. I mean, the guy isn't stupid. He's selling it as he cares about freedom of speech. And I know a lot of people are buying that, but me personally, I don't.
Vivian, you've held senior positions at CNN and Twitter, so you're a perfect person to start with. Were you surprised by those two stories?
One of them I
Does
saw coming
Piers
a mile away.
think fucking Arsenal should sign Ronaldo? Arsenal aren't good enough to sign Ronaldo right now. He went to Man U because of the previous association. But even they're too pish right now for him. He's still creme de la creme, that cunt, man. When you get him on the park, he's still banging. Don't know if that's how the kids say it nowadays.
And the other one completely took me off guard, is the summary. The mile away is CNN Plus. It was
70%. I know fucking China's a big fucking place, right? But I didn't think it had Twitter. I knew it had Twitter, but I thought it had its own version. Weibo or some shit, but maybe that's like a face bag or some crap. I'm not that invested in social medias of Chinese Communist State. 70% of Twitter users are Chinese. Never knew that.
Position, well, not just to me, many felt that way, that you can take a product that people watch for free, that
P.L. is obsessed with his arsehole,
and get them to pay monthly to get more of the thing that they could get for free. So it's not surprising to me that it failed, although I was a little startled by how quickly the new ownership of CNN, which was recently purchased along with the rest of Time Warner Media from Warner Media by Discovery. So, but I got to tell you, Musk, I didn't see it coming, and even when he made the announcement that he was going to buy Twitter, I actually didn't believe the day would come when the board would actually say, yes, we're selling Twitter to you.
But that day came on Monday, and we're going to talk about that decision.
And remember,
in detail.
folks,
Vivian, thanks for being
Monday,
with
Friday,
us. Chris
daily, 1
Williams
o'clock.
is also on the media show. Chris, you're the business editor of the Daily Telegraph, and I wonder when you were watching what Piers Morgan and Talk TV were doing.
Just have a wee shift at different news.
You were watching the future.
Outlets and whatnot.
In some ways, but in some ways, it's a hark back to what Rupert Murdoch's done in America. It's kind of back to the future.
Right.
There's still big questions about the economics of TV news and whether they'll make it work. They're taking
a wee bit of E-Mini, but they're talking about.
You're all out there, and
Showbiz, we all
Pineapple
like
has taken over. I can honestly say, I never knew. I thought a pineapple grew from a tree. Isabel thought a pineapple grew like a turnip underground. It turns out neither of us are right. It grows like a pumpkin.
From the ground, yeah.
Right,
Grows up from the ground.
Sort of like this
Right,
spiky
really.
hairstyle thing, and then a pineapple hangs from it. And you didn't know either.
I didn't have a clue, no.
You
I
didn't
was
know
going to
either.
say, I thought
pineapples were on trees.
Pineapple was right up there. I love oranges, which grow on trees. And I love a pineapple.
Love it all.
There you are. Also love Ellie Phillips here, who's here with the entertainment news today. And there's a big party that we're not invited to.
Oh, this is the biggest party of the year. It's, of course, the Met Gala. It's back. It's held every year on the first Monday in May. It was moved to September last year because of COVID, so it feels like it was only recently that it happened. And you'll remember we had Kim Kardashian there in this head to toe.
You say that's Kim Kardashian, but how do we know?
Yeah, head to toe Balenciaga there. So it's the Met Gala is absolutely.
Sorry, man, I'd rather listen to.
That he went on the telly wearing this kind of old Tory land-owning waistcoat.
Again,
and then came
Talk
out
TV
with
is Rupert Murdoch, just so people know where you...
I mean, if he just said, I was,
where you
searching,
stand,
doing some
and
plumbing at home, I was looking for ball cocks.
if you think Rupert Murdoch, like Sky News, for example, is
or he was trying to find the
unbiased,
website, maybe.
independent,
or perhaps he's an old film buff who's looking up the old
you have a different opinion of a lot of people.
Movie,
Same goes with this pish.
But no, it was not.
But I listen to it.
He went for.
But I'm not listening to it with blinkers on,
called the Dominatrix,
which makes a massive difference, I would argue.
That's a lot of old cobblers. Man alive. And now it just looks all... Well, he's gone. Thank goodness. 0344 499 1000. Back with more of your calls in a few moments. Let's focus on Tony Blair, 25 years on. How do you rate the former Prime Minister? Our lines are open. This is Talk TV.
And look at all the presenters. I mean, if you go down them, I mean, look at that guy. He'll tell you how to live your life and what's best for you. Fucking big Jabba the Hutt, man. He's like fucking one chip away from a heart attack. And that prick, he'll sit and fucking browbeat you and tell you how to live your life, man. He's a womanising fucking gambling addict. And he thought it was wise to give him a gig in fucking Talk Sport. Aye! Here. Sharon Osbourne kicked off. That's right. She was kicked off her gig that she had over in the States for supporting peers about what people were saying was his racist view on Meghan Markle. I mean, and then she get kicked off whatever show it was over in the States, and now she's got hired by Rupert Murdoch over here. So this is the fair and unbiased new TV station. Look at that cunt, it's like a young Terry Wogan. Who the fuck is that cunt? Oh God. Piers Morgan, uncensored. He's very much censored. Ask him to come on and fucking tell you fucking what an arsehole Rupert Murdoch is. Won't happen. Censored! Dickwads. I don't know, man. People are gullible. Oh, you'd fuck her, wouldn't you? Look at that cunt. British teeth. Old Victorian schoolwoman. There's Jabba the Hutt himself. Anyway, just to show you who's on the gig. Let's see what this.
Simply not want a new streaming product.
I'm going to do this to the top of the hour.
Well, that's possible. I mean, you know, there are so many paid subscription opportunities now. And I think we are now learning, you know, it's still early days, learning the limits of how many, you know, Netflix, Hulu's, you know, Apple Pluses, et cetera, people are going to sign on to. And then, you know, when you look at news, the New York Times has done spectacularly well with their subscription service. In fact, it's interesting that CNN Plus has pointed to their bosses in making the case, said, we think we are more of the New York Times model, which I think was a little misguided, but okay. But yeah, it is concerning, and it may be that we find the limits and beyond which news
make this
just not going to grow when it comes to television. David Zasloff, the new head of the company, has said that he's
Can you imagine watching him eat lunch, man? Look at that fucking 5 lobsters in the one sitting. Squeeze them out with one hand.
There, you could help me with this.
Popeye style.
Has already referenced Netflix. To what degree that Netflix story just before the CNN announcement was relevant? It announced it had lost 200,000 global subscribers. And
this subscription shit is getting a joke, though. I'm going back to torrents
more subscribers in the
on a certain level for certain things.
Is that relevant to
because
CNN canning
right,
CNN?
I've got Now TV for my football.
The bigger picture that the owners
Then
of
I've got
CNN
BT
have
Sports
to
as
show
well
Wall
for
Street
more
that they're
football.
investing in a profitable business, and what we've seen
That's
so
about
far
fucking
is
40
that,
odd pound a month.
the likes of Netflix
And then you've got your
and Disney Plus have been throwing
Amazon Prime
literally billions
and
of
Netflix.
dollars at content producers.
It's a fucking joke.
In the hopes
And now
that
you've
people will
got like
subscribe,
Apple.
and all of a sudden, there's a pivot.
And
Wall Street is saying, "Hang on a minute, we want to see profit from this business."
fucking all the
And
rest of Disney.
expectation that this was a
Tons of them.
limitless, you know, that
Everything's moving to a subscription model.
would,
And by the
tune
time you're
into
finished, if
streaming
you
or
want to
keep
watch what you
streaming.
want to
That's now
watch,
being
it's
questioned,
going to be
and
like
that
fucking
affects
£200 a
CNN's
month.
owners.
And Chris from the Telegraph, I'm listening to all of the others talk about CNN Plus, of course, a product aimed at the US market, and I'm wondering if you think a streaming product could work in the UK.
I mean, some of the challenges that the CNN Plus faced in the US would be even more steep in the UK, partly because of BBC. There's very high quality news and current affairs products available free at the point of delivery in the UK. And you know, it's a challenge for anyone trying to sell a new subscription to be distinct and have something that's worth paying for in the UK. So I can't see that ever being tried in the UK, really.
Although perhaps it could be wrapped up in a broader subscription offer where you pay one company to give you not just news, but sport and entertainment and everything else.
You could hide it in fucking
that's one of the
things that
ironies
people
here. You
actually
have this
want to
sort of-
pay for. Fuck's sake. Exactly what you're just saying. Farage, the Vaj. Token gay guy. Token gay Australian. Gay Hitler. I can't believe last night I was getting told my hair is Hitler-esque. What the fuck are you talking about? Nothing like Hitler's hair. I used to get, I used to use free streams for my football religiously, but then I get a bit pissed off because they would always switch it off when you would get the talking heads afterwards, and sometimes that's the most interesting bit. To see Ali McCoist and Chris Sutton fucking growling at each other, man, it's great. So, I'm happy to pay the money to get the talking heads. But every now and again you'll get fucking that Premier Sport, the old Santander I think it is, the Irish mob. They'll fucking have a Rangers Celtic game somehow, some way. And then I'll get a illegal stream. I use Firefox, as you can see. And you can incorporate a VPN within your Firefox browser, so you don't need to have it in your computer as a whole, if that makes sense. You can just switch it on and off, and the free version suits most people's needs. And it's always interesting to fire into fucking America and batter into Netflix and see what fucking the Yankee Doodle Dandies are getting served up to them, you know. Interesting. Millie Dowler. I do remember the Millie Dowler thing, but I don't know why you're bringing it up. Bring it in. Bring it in you want up. I'm just trying to understand why. But let's see. I think I'll do this to the top of the hour. Let's listen to this guy.
Human Rights Act in 1998, and I don't want to bore your listeners with the technicalities. But it's not the fact that we needed human rights, because I think we did, because we don't have, the codification of law the way that America does. But you had the Crime and Disorder Act 1998, you had the Criminal Justice Police Act 2001, people can look them up, which was essentially about DNA samples for anyone who's arrested and stuff. I think there was a fundamental authoritarian side to Blair. And I don't mean that in a horrible, North Korean way. I think he thought to himself, with the sort of so-called family, which I think he wanted to move us on from, there was an absence of sort of morality, if you like. And that's where I worry.
What's still going on about fucking Tony Blair, right? We get it, he's a prick.
Reports of bad weather, strong winds and choppy seas. Some people have been seen today in the Channel. Conservative MP Crispin Blunt has announced that he'll stand down at the next election. Last month, the former Justice Minister had to apologise after he tweeted in support of an MP who was found guilty of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy. Well, Blunt originally claimed that the MP, Imran Ahmed Khan, was the victim of a dreadful miscarriage of justice before then issuing an apology. A record-breaking 2.7 million people have been referred for cancer checks over the last year. NHS data shows the number of patients receiving cancer treatment has risen by 2,000 since the start of the pandemic. Delays in passport processing could cost over £1 billion in cancelled trips this summer. Research from the Centre for Economics and Business estimate there's currently a 50% probability of people having a successful and timely passport renewal. The Passport Office advises to apply 10 weeks in advance due to the delays. You're up to date. We're on your TV, online and DAB+ radio. Now let's head back to Tom for the briefing.
For the briefing. Oh, is this all this business push? Oh, I'm going to tell you what to buy. Business piss on Nigel Fadge.
Good
TV.
morning,
Oh,
it's 9:36 and this is
fucking
the briefing
Count
with
Dracula.
me, Tom Howard, on your TV and your radio. Now, first this morning, as
come
the local
on, mate. We
elections
know
are
you're
less
the
than a
Count.
week away, the
We
Tories have
know
claimed that the
you're
Labour
the
Party
Count.
and the Liberal Democrats have formed a pact ahead of those elections on Thursday. It's something I brought up on this programme last week. And on Saturday evening, Conservative Party Chairman Oliver Dowden wrote to Sir Keir Starmer asking him to explain.
Mate, they're
Well,
all cut
yesterday,
for the same
Labour
jib,
leader
aren't they?
denied
You
the
can
claim,
tell,
saying
man.
there is no pact.
They're all like,
Everybody
they're all
knows
fucking
there is no
Nigel
pact.
Fadge's
Well,
dangleberries.
let's look at the data. In 2018, in the North East, Labour stood in 100% of
Evidence
wards and the Lib Dems stood
of-
in 78% of them.
Evidence of evidence,
this year,
tampering.
the same seats are being
That's
contested,
not
but the Lib Dems are
particularly
only
funny other than
standing in
to say evidence of
55%
evidence.
of those wards,
I
while
don't know,
Labour
I
are
just thought it was
standing in
funny.
almost the same 99%.
I think you're talking about the Millie Dowler
Well, let's
thing.
look at the southwest now, an
single
area
guy.
that the Lib Dems are traditionally stronger in, and it's the Labour Party that is standing in many fewer seats, down from 97% of them to 60% of them. Meanwhile, the Lib Dems are standing in almost as many as they stood before, 87%. What on earth is going on? Well, the Conservative Party think it's a formal pact. Could it be that these two parties have been talking to one another and are standing down in favour of whichever other one is
so
able
these are
to beat the Tories?
TV
Well, let's
channel
talk through
is
this now with
fairly
Peter
and
Edwards, the
unbiased,
former editor of the
talking
Labour List
down
news
the Liberal
website,
Democrats.
supportive but independent of the Labour Party. Welcome to the programme. First of all, does it really cut the mustard that
Looks
the
like
Labour
Ben
leader
Elton.
is denying there's a pact? Looking at those numbers, where the Labour Party is standing down in areas that the Lib Dems are doing well in, and the Lib Dems are standing down in areas that the Labour Party has traditionally done well in, it does look a little bit fishy, doesn't it?
No, not at all. And Tom, I've been doing a bit of research as well, so I've got a statistic for you. The number of candidates being stood across the whole of Britain: Labour 5,300, Tories 5,200. So there's no party fighting more seats across the whole country than the Labour Party. So that's the opposite of standing down. It's the Tories that are coming in second place. That's only in terms of candidates before the election has begun.
That's looking at the national picture, of course, but when we look at the regional picture in this, because that's...
Right, remember, this is the unbiased news channel. This is clearly left versus right. Fucking debate, bullcrap. That presenter dude is clearly fucking presenting a pro-right paradigm perspective, and they've got this Ben Elton looking cunt to come on as cannon fodder. It's fucking so transparent.
Hierarchy within the EU, the driving to make a European a one nation type of state with the trading and the social element to it. But I don't think the countries effectively were ready for it. And I just felt that if he had, if he kind of coordinated with maybe the Dutch and the other countries within the EU, he could have actually kind of held back some of the initiatives there.
Interesting. Listen, Peter, listen, I move on because we're about to hit the news, but thank you for that, Peter in Birmingham. We'll continue to take your calls on this in the next section as well. 25 years ago yesterday was, of course, the general election. And as those numbers came through, trickled through throughout the night, it became
Listen to the
apparent
news, then I'll do
that
the
things
off.
were looking pretty
Remember,
abysmal
if you
for
appreciate
the Conservative Party. And
Wag the
rather
Dog
good
News, stick a thumbs up.
for the Labour Party.
Do my
In the
best,
event,
Monday to Friday,
The Tories
1
lost
o'clock.
178 seats in that election, and the Labour Party gained 145. This meant that Labour had their best result in history. Tony Blair became the youngest Prime Minister of the 20th century, and his majority was 179. And remember, Blair had never been in government. He'd never had
Fucking
any,
hell, man.
in that
It's
position, but he'd never
anything
been-
happening
never
in the
held a
world today
government
other than
position.
fucking
He'd
Tony
only ever
Blair.
been in opposition. He
It's
hadn't
almost
exactly
as if,
been there
like,
for 20 years. So at the age
There was
of
a meeting
43,
before the show.
he gets the big job, and away he goes.
And it was
How do you
decided
rate
to
Tony
beat
Blair?
up
We're
Blair
going to talk about the
for the
channel
first hour.
crossings as well in the next section. You're
Oh, of
listening to
course,
Talk
the
TV
channel
News at 2.
crossings. Now, riddle me this. You go on a vast majority of independent YouTube journalists just reporting the news. They'll be talking about all the exact same talking points that stations like this, for example, are. It is no coincidence why your average conspiracy person obsesses about borders, immigrants, hannies coming into your bathrooms, all the exact same talking points that you'll get out of these radio stations, or TV stations as they now are. Just listen to this guy getting destroyed.
Dems were relevant.
Well, it's certainly a really interesting situation. We'll be following these local elections very closely. Of course, Britain goes to vote, not all of Britain, but most of Britain goes to vote on Thursday. Peter Edwards, thanks so much for joining us and talking through that issue with us this morning. Now, to briefly return to
Get out there and vote,
Durham
house niggers.
on the 30th of April 2021. Indoor socialising was, as we know, at the time against the rules. Sir Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner and Durham MP Mary Foy...
Running defence for the Conservative Party. Oh, I am shocked.
Reportedly, 30 other individuals as well were filmed drinking in Durham after a day's campaigning. New evidence has emerged that the group had ordered a sizable curry. A delivery driver from an Indian restaurant in Durham yesterday claimed that he dropped off, quote, quite a big order for the Labour team. Curiously, when questioned by the Daily Mail later, the driver changed his story to say that he could not remember. There's something odd about the details of this event, of this party. First, the denials that Angela Rayner was there, only for the Labour Party to then admit that she was there only once video evidence was then presented. And now the
Right, that's why everybody's obsessing about Tony Blair. It's a 25-year anniversary. I knew it was his anniversary of getting in. I didn't know it was 25 years.
Yet we now know that the beer and curry footage was taken at 10:04 p.m. on Friday night.
This is
Mail on Sunday commentator Dan Hodges, someone who's been very critical of the Prime Minister over Partygate too, perhaps set out what likely happened most clearly. He wrote this morning that it's clear what happened. They campaigned. They then had a curry and beer. Then they all went home, which is fine, just as giving Boris the cake was fine, but both technically were a breach of the rules. So Labour are now tying themselves in knots. And that's the nub of it. If you're to take such a strict interpretation of the rules that banned indoor socialising in both June 2020 and April 2021, if you're to take such a strict approach as to deem Rishi Sunak as having broken the rules, who, let's remember, simply turned up at Downing Street for a work meeting and briefly sang Happy Birthday, well, then your interpretation of what the rules allow, gatherings deemed, quote, reasonably necessary for work purposes, then you're giving yourself no leeway there. Now people like me have argued for some time that, of course, reasonable...
And we'll leave it there as it's the top of the hour. So thanks everybody that's joined. Make sure you tune in as much as you can, Monday to Friday, 1 o'clock. I'll catch up with the facts and whatnot. Thanks to the people that are in the chat. Russian symbol guy, Jeffrey, Roberto, how you doing, my man? Check out all this prices signing things and week. I think who am I talking? I think Mike Graham. No, can't remember, but somebody on one of these stations was talking about that earlier on as well, buddy. Or the Union Jacks and all that jazz. I remember I fell for it. Nemesis. Long live the cancel culture. How you doing on that? And Magic Magnets, make sure you send us an email, mate, and we'll sort something out. Cheers, Jeffrey. Long live the Russian flag. So, hopefully catch a few of these tomorrow and have a good rest of the afternoon, you all. Till then, take it easy. Cheers.
Clips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe and hit the bell. Everything will be well with 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Why does a dog wag its tail? Because a dog is smarter than its tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Wag the dog in politics is the act of creating diversion from a damaging issue. Here at Wag the Dog News, the tail doesn't wag the dog. Enjoy.
Clips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the bell, everything will be well. 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.